commemorate 16 Days of Activism, I join in to amplify the call to eliminate violence against women and girls, especially sexual violence. Sexual violence refers to when a person exerts their power and control over another person through unwanted or harmful sexual actions. It includes any sexual act, attempt to obtain a sexual act, unwanted sexual comments or advances, or acts of sexual exploitation using coercion, which encompasses force, psychological intimidation, or threats. Sexual violence can occur in person, such as at home, work, or school. It can also occur online, such as via posting or sharing sexual pictures of someone without their consent, or even non-consensual sexting. The perpetrator can be someone who is known or unknown to the survivor. Data on sexual violence in the Caribbean reveals that across 5 Caribbean countries, on average, 11% of ever-partnered women between 15 to 64 years old have experienced sexual intimate partner violence in their lifetime. Another report by the United Nations and World Bank indicate that 3 of the top 10 recorded rape rates in the world occur right here in the Caribbean. Fear of sexual assault was also high among women in the Caribbean, with an average of 30% of women reporting high rates of fear of being victimized. Many Caribbean countries have legislation on sexual offenses which cover a range of crimes, including non-consensual crimes such as rape or sexual assault, crimes against children including child sexual abuse, and crimes that exploit others for a sexual purpose. Most recently, a few countries have introduced legislation on sexual harassment. One example is Jamaica, which recently passed the Sexual Harassment, Protection and Prevention Act of 2021. The act aims to protect individuals within the workplace, members of institutions such as students, and persons renting property. We also acknowledge that much still needs to be done, as some other Caribbean countries have not enacted legislation which expressly prohibits sexual harassment, whether online or in person. Many Caribbean countries also utilize limited definitions of domestic violence, excluding sexual violence altogether. For example, research conducted by UN Women identified that many Caribbean countries still define domestic violence strictly as physical violence, and without consideration for other forms of violence such as sexual, financial, or psychological violence. This is similarly applied in the classification of rape. The UN Women report Gender-Based Violence Developments in the Law identified that in multiple Caribbean countries, though rape was deemed a crime, statutes did not define who could commit rape. As a result, it was left up to the discretion of judges and the common law to determine the confines within which rape could be committed. In many cases, the law was interpreted to mean that rape could not be committed within a marriage, which often had devastating impacts on the outcome for women. The need remains for urgent legislation to effectively support and protect women and girls who are victims and survivors of sexual violence. I would also add that we must ensure that there is the availability of victim and survivor-focused trauma services for the holistic healing of persons affected by sexual violence. We applaud the many NGOs that work diligently to respond to and provide spaces of healing for women and girls. We also acknowledge the other stakeholders that are part of the continuum of care and look forward to strengthened collaboration and partnership that result in improved services and support to our women. We must all do our part to disrupt and end the culture of rape and sexual violence in the Caribbean. Women and girls are not property. Our bodies are not objects for use and abuse. Take action, raise awareness, unite to end gender-based violence.